Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, founder and host of the Creative Birth Strategy House and podcast here on Clubhouse, as well as on all our social media buckets. Here to provide a consistent theme of education, networking, and opportunities. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes, as fast as my thumb will work a little bit, because I got to ping some people in. If you want to share the room as well, I would greatly appreciate that. And what a beautiful day it turned out. A little rain this morning, but I think we're going to have a pretty decent day here in the South Jersey, Philadelphia market. Hope everybody's having a good day this Memorial Day weekend. And our discussion this morning is running your real estate business on autopilot. We always try to tackle different type of subject matter. So this is definitely another area that I feel that has not been touched or glossed over by other groups. I want to make sure we tackle it head on. And I've obviously wrote an article on it as well and posted that on my Facebook and on my LinkedIn. I'll be bringing people up in just a second, just pinging people in to get started here. And then another thing, I always want to thank our sponsors, which is a big, help to us. We wouldn't be around without them. I want to thank Perkatech, Yordell Perkins, our business partner and associate, and our colleague who supports this podcast, who is our social media strategist. And he offers social media services throughout the country. And I think anybody that want to sit down and have a strategy discussion with him would be extremely impressed in what he can do for you as well. We have Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, our national publication of real estate professionals, as well as national events throughout the country held. We also have MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit referral program, where we provide unsecured business lines of credit for real estate professionals as well as business to business. And then we have Lendmark Capital, your asset-based lender that provides long-term and short-term options in the residential space, 1 through 4, 5 through 25, 25 units and above, new construction, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, as well as DSCR. So today's discussion, we'll be diving in running your real estate business on autopilot. Hold on one second here. Hold on one second. So we'll get into our discussion, but I posted an article that caught my eye last minute yesterday afternoon. Community developers are targeting distressed properties. This is a very interesting article. It kind of came late in the afternoon yesterday. Auction.com is seeing an increase of share of local community developers buying at auctions and expect home prices and rents to decline in 2024 in their local markets. So this is a very interesting article because I've been talking about this and discussing this in different ways. Nearly 3 in 10 buyers surveyed said they expect rents to decrease in the coming year, up from 16% of buyers surveyed in 2023. So I feel as we're getting this influx of more increased rentals coming to the market, and the lessened intensity of home buying, you're going to have a wishy-washy rental DSCR and rental market and values, because if you don't have enough sold and settles at premium pricing, those values are going to come down. And then if you have an influx of rentals throughout your markets, rents are going to come down. Between multifamily on development, conversions, build to rent, and then all the investors are coming to the front line in the asset-based lending space. This is compressing DSCR and values right now. I'm seeing it, and this article kind of justifies it. I did post it out on my LinkedIn, so please reach out and take a look at it. It's a really good read. It's on mortgagepoint.com, and we'll start there. So, and then also, again, rates kind of closed out up to Memorial Day weekend at around 7.16 on the conventional side. They held very fast and very strong on the commercial side. The base rate is still 7%. So actually, commercial lending is less than right now in traditional lending for an investment property. So it's very interesting how things run parallel. So, or not parallel at this point, where right now asset-based lending is doing much better than the traditional lending out there. So let's talk about running your real estate business on autopilot tips, okay? To me, it's not about just running it on autopilot. It's also about refining your investment strategy. You know, you're just got past the first quarter. It's customary to reflect on your goals from this past quarter. Did you meet some of your goals, right? So, I've been encouraged though to set challenges always every quarter. I don't just set goals in the beginning of the year. So running things on autopilot is very important. So I try to always refine what's going on currently. I don't want to add things. And I always want to, everybody wants to grow, but sometimes you have to, it's counterintuitive, the approach. By focusing on what you already possess, it can grow organically and turn and cater to your needs. So the trap lies in inconsistent growth. Pouring all your energy returns back into enlarging your portfolio can lead into a perpetual sense of lack, fostering the illusion that you need more. So look at your portfolio first. Then you can kind of figure out, does it make sense to grow, and how much cash flow do I need to justify creating and establishing new debt, right? So there's good debt and there's bad debt. There's performing debt, there's non-performing debt. So you really have to translate through in your mind how that's going to work, because the rest of the opportunities that are out there that present themselves could run on autopilot. So running a real estate business on autopilot involves leveraging technology, streamlining processes, and outsourcing tasks to reduce manual intervention. Some key strategies in 2024 that you need to keep in front of you. Obviously, adopting advanced CRM systems, such as HubSpot. Salesforce is a little expensive. I wouldn't kind of jump into that, but I like HubSpot. It's very cost effective. Zoho, that can automate lead generation, follow-ups, and nurturing processes. Integration, ensuring your CRM integrates seamlessly with other tools, such as email marketing platforms, social media, and your website. Leveraging artificial intelligence. I use ChatGPT quite often when I put together that course that we offer for licensed real estate agents throughout the country. I did use ChatGPT for some of the content because it allowed me to move along quicker to get it submitted to NAR for the approvals. And using marketing automation, email campaigns, automated email campaigns to keep in touch with prospects and past clients. Tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact, or Active Campaign can help. And I'm telling you, be cautious. Don't buy data. Earn your data, because these companies such as Constant Contact are asking every single reason how you got that contact. And outsourcing non-core activities, virtual assistants, hiring virtual assistants to handle administrative tasks, appointment scheduling, and customer support. Content creation, outsourcing content creation for blogs, social media, and marketing materials to freelancers or agencies. Also investment property software. I think Appfolio is really a great software. I think it's a little big for a lot of potential landlords. Looking at some of these smaller automated softwares might be very helpful in the property management software arena as a landlord. And then obviously using electronic signatures and documents. We use DocuSign all the time. Smart home technology, remote monitoring. Having video work around all your properties to see what's going on and making sure things are staying safe, and your tenants know that you're keeping an eye on the exteriors of the property. And automatic financial processes, automating, collecting rents, paying vendors, and managing other financial transactions. These are very important expense tracking systems that you need to put in place, such as Expensify or Receipt Bank are very good. Also, looking at continuous education and training and certifications. That's another thing that people slow down on. So I'm always looking at new ventures for myself where I can get myself certified, approved, licensed. I'm always continuing to add to that shelf. I think it's very important. Then also optimizing your website for automation. Obviously, Yardell and myself developed out my personal website, and then as well as the podcast website. We were very particular about it. We were even particular about putting together the class that I taught. We've made, I think it was like something like 24 revisions till I was able to feel comfortable enough to present. So this is some things to think about into integrating these strategies and streamlining your real estate operations, reducing manual workload, and focus more on strategic growth and client relationships. Amy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning, running your real estate business on Autopilot tips.
Thanks, Joseph, for having me. I'm Amy Palvido. I am the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council. I'm also which is real estate technology. I'm also a founder and CEO of a PropTech company. So this is right at my alley. If you're talking about running your business on autopilot, there's a lot of tech out there that can help you. I know a lot of it just from my role at the council. But I've been in commercial real estate as a developer and general contractor and investor for 21 years. So I've been around here. So I think you're gonna find that the big push is to automation and AI. And there's lots of companies coming out now that the teams that used to have before you were no longer going to need. You can get a lot done via, even with the multiple systems that you're using Zapier to create automations between those systems, or pushing content out, all the same content out on multiple platforms at once, right? I mean, there's a ton of automations around that for sure, and I think it's a good thing. I think it can get a little overwhelming for people who aren't used to it, and so you have to spend time to really strategically think through what you try to do. But you should look at every process that is in your organization and find a way to automate it at some point, somehow. Like if you're doing the same thing more than once, figure out a way to automate it, because there's tools out there for the non-coding people that you can do this with, and it'll help you for sure.
So, Amy, I'm going to dive into this a little bit more with you. This organization that you lead up, did you establish this, or is this something that was already in existence? Is it something? Okay.
And part of it was because when I started my prop tech company, so I came from real estate investing land, where there's like a group for every group's group. Like there's so many damn groups. And then I get into prop tech and I'm founding my prop tech company, and I'm like looking around and going, where's the group? Like I couldn't find one. And so, yeah, and that was 3 years ago. And then I got busy in development. I was still actively real estate investing at the time, so I didn't really do anything with it. But then after we got on my software, we got through MVP and we went to beta. And earlier this year, I was kind of, we're coming up for air, we're about to launch and do all these great things. And I'm kind of looking around and I'm, man, I really need that group again. And so I was looking around, and in 3 years, there's been no group. And I'm like, okay, fine. All right, I'll start it. So I did, and I just started it on LinkedIn, just created a group on LinkedIn. That's how I created it. And then it just blew up in my face. And in 4 months, we now have 750 members. We have programs reaching out to universities. We have conferences that we're hosting. We're hosting events all the time. And it was just amazing to see the response of people that really wanted to have this kind of community available for the real estate industry and also for the real estate technology industry. So, it's been an amazing ride in 4 months. That's for sure.
Do you think that, I think there's a lack of CE for licensed real estate agents in this type of social media drive, which is not even social media, it's true artificial intelligence. Have you ever considered thinking about putting together a continuing education course to kind of pencil to paper to justify the impact to real estate agents as the industry changes on them right in front of their eyes right now and then over the next 5 years?
Oh, I'd love to do that. I just haven't really gotten that far. I'll have to lean on you, Joe, on how to do that, because I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is AI out for real estate agents. It exists today. They're part of the council of this group that takes all of the grunt work that an agent has to do. It takes it away, and the AI just does it all for you. So all the initial lead generation, all the responding to the people kicking tires, all of that stuff that exists today. There's there's a ton of stuff around just marketing and automations and a lot of those startups are in our council. And then the one I'm referring to, the co-pilot is called Chris, and it's already in action. I guess he's got it already in several real estate teams around the world in like 10 different markets, like Barcelona and Dubai and Singapore. And there's a couple of real estate teams that have looked at it in the U.S., but it's a super cool. It's a super cool, and it just makes your agents like it doubles their productivity because they don't have to respond. Because what AI can do is it can respond 24/7 when people want it, but then also it can respond in any language you want it to respond in because AI doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what language they're talking to you at because the AI knows it. So it's a very useful tool. So yeah, I think it's super cool to see what's happening.
I'm very excited about that introduction you just made this morning with Ken Singh and what he does. Wow, if that's something that's really can take shape by zip code, holy crap! Can you imagine identifying off-market deals with a software and bypass all the wholesalers and all the other individuals?
Right? Yeah. See, they've been in that. He's a part of the council too. They've been in that development for a long time. But when he showed it to me, you were the first person I thought of. I was like, he needs to meet Joe. Well, he needs to meet Linda, and they need to show this out to the world because it is just so cool about finding the deals, and you do it all on your phone, and he just leads you through the whole process, and it just like it makes me like jealous because back in the days when I was doing this, it was so hard to find a house. All these people would be so spoiled with all this AI.
Well, this is what's interesting. At the same time of you doing this, I've been approached by a national property management company that's really focusing in that 1 through 4 space, that's buying up property management companies throughout the East Coast, like east of the Mississippi for the most part. And I want to have a lot of, I'll call it weaponry, going into a meeting with these guys because they want me to move my licenses over there, which I've been held in referral. And it's just another lane of opportunity that I can, create a revenue stream. And if I say, hey, I can find all these off market deals for your landlords that you're already managing properties out in their same markets, I'm one step ahead of everybody else in the room. So I'm going to be having a very deep discussion with Ken because those are the type of tools that separate you from everyone else.
Yes. Yeah, and it is now. He's a startup, right? So the tool is fabulous, and it's just going to get better as more and more people start putting their deals in there. But they already have it. It was quickly adopted. They already have deals kind of nationally, like they're in Florida. People are listing their off-market deals in there, and it just becomes just an easy way. He's like the exchange, right? He's going to be the Amazon of off market deals. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's so fabulous. Very cool.
And this ties into a very comprehensive planning for your real estate industry. Like whatever you're doing, you got to stay organized and maximize productivity and win the market share. So defining the mission statement, defining your target audience or niche, evaluating the resources, setting very clear goals, establishing budget and financial projections. So I put together a budget in my mind that I want to put the work for the podcast for the next 6 months. We're very close to our 50th episode, so we're really now we're streamlining. So now we need to take it to the next level for the next 50 and creating strategic action steps. So we were able to get the website up. We were able to get my personal profile website up. Everything's pretty much now working on autopilot. So now we have to see what social media buckets will enhance our flavor. And this is another thing. And I offer this to everybody, Amy, Linda, anybody else. Our podcast, anybody that's engaged with us and following us on this podcast, we will do a complimentary podcast with you for your business. Who you are, what you do, and what your why is. We could do it at my offices in Philadelphia, or we could do it via Zoom and customize it and get it out there and push it out there on your behalf. And I think we're the only clubhouse room that's offering that. Okay, so we're offering the opportunity of being marketed get educated, and creating your power team within this podcast. And we have one of our other sponsors here this morning. I'd like to welcome her and get her introduction. Linda, good morning and welcome. Brief overview: who you are, what you do, and thoughts to running your real estate business on autopilot.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, Clubhouse. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. My name is Linda Pliagas, and I'm the founder of Realty 411. We are an online resource guide for real estate investors, and we produce real estate investment magazines, podcasts, events, and more, all in an effort to help real estate investors on their journey. Now, this is a great topic because automation in your real estate investment business, like private capital, can help you leverage your resources and time to help expand your portfolio. And as far as automating your investing life, you can do so many different things. For example, be sure to place all your mortgage payments on automatic monthly withdrawals, so you don't even have to worry about it. This could be such a changer for investors that have many properties. You can even automatically set the system to make an extra principal payment at your choosing. So you can also set it to pay even extra every month or every year. It's a great way to dwindle down your principal by just, setting it and forgetting it. Now, I remember before the advent of online payments, when I had to physically write about a dozen checks a month just to make all of our mortgage payments and utility payments. It was such a pain. Now those same amount of payments are done for me. Now be sure to also automatically set your expenses to be paid on a monthly basis, like your insurance and your utility payments if you have any, if you're responsible for that in your properties. Regardless of being automatic, I still like to double check everything every month, especially to gauge like the water usage, and to make sure my payments aren't going up, because I do have some that are adjustable rates. So I do like to check everything every month anyway, especially, again, to check the water usage if I'm paying utilities. Now, investors can also choose to impound their accounts so that they automatically make property tax and insurance payments on their accounts as well. So this is another way to, set and forget it. When you get a loan or you refinance, make sure that everything is impounded so you make one payment and it covers everything: your principal, your interest, your utility, your property taxes, and your insurance. Now, landlords can also request to get their money automatically, so their tenants don't have to write checks anymore. They can use direct deposit, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. If you don't want to use Appfolio or programs like that, you can keep it simple and use direct deposit, PayPal, Zelle. And these are just some of the tips I have. Now, for investors who invest time to automate everything early on, it'll help you manage your properties more effectively and also free up your time so that you can go out and purchase even more properties. Just, setting everything automatically will make landlording so much more easier and manageable. And you just invest time in the beginning to set everything up automatically, and then you're done. So I encourage everyone to set the time to get everything started automatically in your real estate portfolio to make your life and your business so much more easier. Back to you, Joseph.
Linda, thank you for stopping in. I know you get up early for this, and I appreciate that as always. What have you done with your publication that you feel that you've leveraged the modern technology of AI to get the publication out there? Is there something that you've done in the last 6 months differently that you haven't done before to automate something to get it out there a little easier for yourself?
Yes, actually, we are using AI for some of our posts that we create. For example, when we market our events, we have a program where we can, type in a simple paragraph about our event. Then we press a button, and then the AI will convert it to a much more, jazzier paragraph. It could even break it down into multiple shorter paragraphs, and then it adds all these emojis on there automatically to make it, more appealing, more eye-catching, and create a sense of urgency and a call to action. So we are definitely using AI in our business. We're not creating articles with it because I do have a little bit of a problem with that. As a trained journalist, I want to make sure that our articles are authentic and they are written by professionals, professional writers or professional journalists. So we're not implementing AI with our article writing. However, we are implementing it in other aspects just to make our business not only easier, but also to make it more interesting and create, a better call to action.
Interesting, yeah, because I'm seeing more activity on article writing on LinkedIn more than ever. I wish LinkedIn allowed you to share the article more than just to X and Facebook. It's a very interesting way they allow you to share the article, and it's very complicated to share the article via to the other groups that you might be connected with. I'd love to be able to share that differently, but I don't know. It's very limited. And by doing these articles and blogs, what's happened is LinkedIn now asks me once a week to give input to other thoughts, not always related to just real estate, but just to business in general. And that's the type of highlights that you need as a real estate professional to get that inbound lead traffic. Like, how do you get your phone to ring? Okay, being on autopilot means your marketing's out there, but how are you getting people to impulse to call you or to make an inquiry toward you? Like, what are you doing to kind of, I'll call it, tickle their fancy, like showcasing your expertise, but not hitting them with the hammer? Like maybe put together an educational event or a webinar, some type of insightful information. Maybe not all about you, but you're the host or hostess. Becoming that local tour guide of your area, of your field. Like, look what Amy did. She took advantage of an opportunity and created her own organization. Hey, listen, nothing wrong with being in the forefront, you know, and interviewing and recognizing other local businesses. I see. I have no problem working with traditional loan officers or even loan lenders in my space. You know why? Because we all don't do the same. We don't all have the same appetite on a subject property. It might be a little different. Changing the most successful, insightful posts into lead magnets. I'll tell you a funny story. This is at least 6 years ago. I was very heavy at the time. A lot of people that knew me, I was probably close to 390 pounds. And we were at a panel, and we had a couple of drinks, well, maybe a few more than the average. And we were all talking a little junk at each other on the way out. And one of the guys dared me to go into a running race with him. And I got in a running race with him, and they put it on video, and I blew him out of the water on a 40-yard dash. He wasn't even close. It was hysterical. I have over 40,000 views, and I got probably like 100 calls. My gosh, Joe, I saw you run. Holy shit! I never seen somebody run that quick at that weight level. And guess what? I got business from it. You know, or when I cook something off, because my joy is cooking food with my wife, and I cook off a good dish, I get private messages on lending related to my crab gravy. Figure that one out. So sometimes posting something of personal character sometimes creates that lead magnet or stimulates somebody to reach out and have a very nice neutral conversation with you. Good morning, Cyrus. Welcome. Long time no see. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, running your real estate business on autopilot. Cyrus, are you there? Cyrus going once. Cyrus going twice. We'll come back to Mr. Cyrus Dixon, who is a colleague of mine, a friend. And funny enough, I'll give you a little history about Cyrus and I. We became acquainted on another clubhouse. We both are survivors in different lanes. And we bonded, and I drove down to Richmond, Virginia to speak at one of his events at a church. It was really a great event, kind of during COVID, but kind of on the way out. But you know what? It was great to go down there and meet and greet people that I didn't know before. And I said what I did, and I did what I said. So I commit. When you commit to something, that's another thing. If you're going to be on autopilot and all this, you got to get back to everybody. You got to be in communication. You have to be a good communicator. Okay, Amy, I'm going to come back to you on this. Some thoughts of the discussion that Linda and I had, and some follow up in regards to what we're discussing on autopilot business tips.
So, talking about content and lead generation, there's I guess I consider myself a serial poster. I produce a lot of content. I have 3 podcasts as a part of the U.S. PropTech Council. So I interview folks on my PropTech Genius show, and I have 2 other audio shows that we turn into podcasts. But I will say, understanding the LinkedIn algorithm or the algorithm or whatever it is you're doing. So if you're going to produce content, right, whatever it is, you need to understand what's going to move the needle for you. I will say, and back to your about articles, yes, but weekly newsletters. I don't know what the draw is for those suckers, and I thought, oh, newsletters are dead because like Reader's Digest, it went out the window. I don't know, but we started producing a weekly newsletter, and I got 1,000 subscribers in a week on a weekly newsletter. And it's just amazing to me the amount of people that just want to read the content that you're producing, especially if it's anything where you're providing value first. But you can schedule a lot of this out, and LinkedIn is getting much more prevalent about allowing you to schedule when your articles will post. But there's also tools like Taplio, which will allow you to schedule out posts for your LinkedIn. Like you just go in there, you say, I want to do this one at certain times, and it'll just automatically post it out for you at those times. And it also uses AI to tell you which posts are been in the past have been really, really like kind of went viral and that people resonated with. So you can modify those and you can repost them. And it also will give you a link into like industry news that you can just post out and share. But if you're going to be a content producer like that, you just need to be consistent with it, and over time you'll just grow this huge following, and it's amazing to see. But you'll totally get leads from it. Whether it's Joe, I remember when you were sending out your recipes. Remember you were sending out your recipes?
Oh yeah.
to everybody. Oh, it was so good. I mean, we had this little text group, and he would send out the recipes, and I would try them. And I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Well, you know what?
That was great.
I wasn't stuffing the whole idea of what I do all every day down people's throats. I was very neutralized and just showing a little bit about me, where I think it made people feel more comfortable to talk to me about things. You know what I mean? And I think people don't realize, it's not always about what you do every day. It's about what you feed, and all the analytics is all based on what you feed. It's like a garden. If you feed it with great, dirt and nutrients, it's going to bear a lot of vegetables, right? So it's the same thing in business. I mean, like, you have to automate everything because you just don't have the time to get everything done. So, what are the top, Amy? What do you think the top three things a real estate professional, and we're not talking like high level, somebody that's starting out, maybe owns a couple properties, trying to get into the business. What do they need to do from a perspective to run some things basically on autopilot that you would suggest for the newer investor or somebody that's kind of like been in the business a couple of years and they're pivoting in the market with the shifting in the market right now? What's some thoughts?
So obviously, the management of your properties is the first thing you want to get. You don't want to be taking having to chase down tenants for payments, right? And you need it. So there's a lot of solutions out now, like Propify, which is designed for single family rentals. And all the other property management systems, but there are some inexpensive ones out there that you can use because you have to take care of basics first. You got to manage the properties that you have, and you got to get that done, right? So check, okay. Then you got to work on how do you find the next set of your properties or whatever you're going to build in your portfolio. So then there's other solutions out there to kind of help with that too. But a lot of that, it really truly is, what you're talking about, this whole marketing and looking for leads and looking for leads, not just for tenants, but leads for places, the properties to buy, and how you reach out to those wholesalers and what you kind of do there. So you're constantly having to market out yourself as an investor, and how you can find those off market deals. Obviously, Ken's thing is super cool. So you're going to have to automate your management so that you can then turn and focus on buying more deals, right? So to grow your wealth and to grow your portfolio. Because if you can't take care of what you own now, you're never going to be able to buy anything else.
So what you're saying is you kind of have to clean up house the way it is. Like when I talk to real estate agents, I'm like, and I just met an agent last night, Friday night, at a small brief happy hour, and she gave me her information. I reached out to her. I tried connecting with her on LinkedIn. Now I know who she works for now. Guess what? Her LinkedIn doesn't match up at all. Like her profile is completely wrong. I'm trying to understand, how do you go on autopilot in being a real estate professional and your profiles are not even up to date? I mean, like, I don't get it. I don't get where the miss is. Why they don't think it's so important. People don't pay attention. People do pay attention that are making money. People that have money pay attention.
LinkedIn is so important. Like you have to be on it, and you have to keep your profile up to date. Like it's hugely important. I get so much business off of LinkedIn; it's not even funny.
I just don't understand what the disconnect is with why people don't feel they have to keep their social media up to date. Like I'm always working on something. I'm always finding something I have to update. That's half the battle with being on autopilot. Like if your social media is not up to, how do you market yourself if you're not consistent with all your information online? I don't know.
Right.
Aren't you always constantly auditing yourself, Amy, like as a real estate professional, to make sure everything's up to date?
Yeah, I'm on it generally, and I try to work through messaging, right? So I go to a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
And before I go to the conference, I will invariably somebody will come up to you and go, well, what do you do? And so I will work on, okay, what's my pitch? What's my pitch about myself or my company or whatever it is? And what is that? What's going to be that tagline that I get so I can get interest from somebody to get them to learn more, right? So my tagline was, I make real estate investing more predictable, right? And then they'll go, well, tell me more. And then I'll go, well, I have a data platform, and we provide the data insights that you need in order for that to happen, right? And we'll get into it a little bit more, but you got to come up with your tagline, right? Well, that tagline, whatever that is, well, then I will put that on my LinkedIn. And I'll make sure that what's on my LinkedIn is actually something that will draw people in to want to learn more, to connect with me, because what's on your, you want people to connect with you on LinkedIn, because once they do that, I will tell you, there's probably about 70% of the LinkedIn profiles have their emails on them. They have the way to connect with them. You have the ability to message them on LinkedIn. Don't be rude about it. Don't try to pitch them and sell them, but you can connect with them and offer value. It's a really, I'm no joke. Like, LinkedIn is a very useful business tool, and if you are not using it, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot in the face. Like, seriously. So yeah.
I think everybody needs to sit down with a strategist, whether it's a coach for personal development. That's one thing. Because sometimes you just got to get out of your own way. I think half the battle. I think half the battle is just getting out of your own way, but also understanding who you are and what your why is, and what you want people to think, what you want people to think about you, and the consistency of it. Like, how consistent do you want to be? Not for everybody. Not for everybody, because like a lot of people don't want to have all this exposure, so they want to stay limited. But then all of a sudden they realize business is slow, and then they got a bum rush. I mean, do you advise? Where do you advise on spending some money on getting your business on autopilot? Is it the website? Is it the social media analytics? Is it a little of all of it? What's some thoughts to that, Amy? And then we'll go back to Linda and get her thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's you. You have to have a website, and you have to be on social media. I think the automation centers around, okay, look at the steps and really using Zapier to kind of do some of these things. So if you post something somewhere and recognizing, and you just have to think through everything that you do on a day-to-day basis. If I'm constantly posting on LinkedIn, if I'm not using a scheduler like Tableau, well, that's just kind of silly, right? If I'm producing my weekly newsletter, if I'm not using the scheduler tool that helps me decide which articles I'm going to put in that newsletter, well, then you have to use these automation tools that are there. But then it's understanding and taking half a second to look at what you're doing on a day-to-day basis that's eating up your time, and how can you automate those things. But you really have to be strategic, because some people are just so busy in their business that they don't take half a second to realize, oh, I've been doing this same thing over and over and over and over, and this is silly. Why can't I automate this through something? And so there's ways to do it. You really have to take a second and look at how you do your everyday business, and see what you can automate every day. Just take one thing and automate it, right? Take one thing where, if you're doing autoresponders on email, if you don't do an autoresponder on email, I mean, and you're waiting for people that, you're missing a lead or missing. So even if it's just that, right? If you don't have those kinds of things, right? Or you just got to look at how you can push out the content you have, or push out the messaging you have to generate the leads down the sales cycle, and how much automation you can use to get you through that, right? Is really what you got to do.
Linda, your thoughts to what Amy and I are discussing in running your real estate business on autopilot?
Yes, well, I think Amy brought up some amazing tips, and I totally agree that automating your business can not only improve it, but free up your time so that you can go out there and, do more deals, find more rehab properties, buy more buy and hold properties, find that next market, that you want to invest in. I would caution everyone, if they are going to be using AI and other automation platforms, I would highlight to double check the work, double check everything, make sure the message is what you want, double check all your automation. I'll give you a great example. I thought that I had put my car payment back in 2018. I was leasing a vehicle. I thought I had it on automatic payments. I didn't check on it, guys. I just, thought that I had already put everything on automatic and that the payments were going automatically. At the time, I was also trying to take care of my mother who had Alzheimer's and dementia, and our lives were a mess. She was roaming all the time. She was trying to escape. I was literally like trying to follow her around the house for, a year during that time period. Well, guess what? I thought my payments were all being done automatically. To my surprise, uh, the foreclosure man showed up at my door to haul away my car. And I was like, what's going on? He goes, you haven't made a payment in 3 months for taking your car away. And I was like, what the heck? Guys, I didn't double check. All this time, I thought my payments were being automatically taken care of, and they weren't. I was under such distress during that time that I was not double checking anything. And I was just assuming that I had done everything correctly. Don't make those assumptions. Double check all the work that you do and double check to make sure that the payments are indeed being made automatically like you think they are being made. Because you could be in for a big surprise if you miss something. And when you have dozens of properties and multiple cars and other payments and bills, you may miss something along the way. So that's my advice. Just double check everything.
Yeah.
Back to you, Joseph.
Thanks, Linda. And I know Justin came up, but he's preoccupied with something right now, so I can't open up to him. But to add to what Amy and Linda are saying, there's so many things you can do on a daily basis to keep monitoring your profile, who you are, to automate and create that inbound lead gen and have things on somewhat of an autopilot. I'm always working on, like I was working on something as we were talking about. I saw something on my Google that didn't make a lot of sense, that I'm going to have to talk to Yardell about it because it's all set up, but for some reason it's not visible in certain spots. So I want to know why. I want to fix it. I want to address it. I want to stay on top of it. It's almost like a leaky boat. Your business is like a leaky boat, and you got 10 fingers and 10 toes, and you're kind of putting your toes and your fingers in all the little holes to stop the leaks. You need to retain somebody to review what you're doing and to understand who you are and to build out that business. It shouldn't be expensive. It should be cost effective. Okay? I think not enough real estate professionals take their profile and who they are and automating who they are on social media to take it to the next level. Okay? And I think it's all also about revenue streams. There's so many opportunities in our space to make so many different revenue streams as a referral partner. Okay? And that's another thing. Like, why aren't you a referral partner in different lanes in the real estate space other than what you do currently? There's so many opportunities, especially if you're a rainmaker. If you're making rain for yourself and your surrounding parties, you need to share those opportunities to them if it makes sense. If if it's cohesive, right? And what we do here on this podcast, as well as on Clubhouse, we're very unique. We don't sell anything. We offer pretty much opportunities to collaborate. We offer worksheets for you to be a better educated investor or a real estate agent or service provider. We offer a CE course to provide insight into the real estate landscape of investing. We offer marketing opportunities of putting together a podcast on your behalf to promote your business. Okay, we have sponsors that provide services in social media, in national publication with Linda and national events that she's involved with. Also, referral programs within MB Capital and Lenmar Capital. So right off the bat, there's opportunities you as a real estate professional to build business on autopilot by creating revenue streams. When you got money coming in, it's a lot easier to think clearly, and when you're keeping the lights on, it's easier to think clearly in this business, right? So you have to be always. I think it all has to do with your social media presence, connecting physical and digital marketing together. Okay, and maybe start your own reality show. Who the hell knows? I think we're all a little entertaining. Justin, I know you're back. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion, running your real estate business on Autopilot Tips.
Yeah. Good morning, Joe. I've missed most of the conversation this morning, but I'm definitely going back and listening to this one again because it's one of the areas that I know I absolutely need to sharpen up on. I feel like as we're going into, well, not going into, first in the technological age and era where that's the leading decision maker for what people see and how people are marketed to. I just think, you were just mentioning about your social media presence. Nowadays, that's all people really have to judge you. If you've been following, like I've been following some of these people on Clubhouse, and I really, it's hard to say you don't know somebody after you've followed them for so many years, gotten to know a little bit about their personal and kept up with them in a business sense. And in a lot of ways, you know them. And so the way we do that with people we are trying to interact with now is through your social and through the platforms that you have that are available to us and to the public. And so my thoughts are just this. You should keep it clean. You should follow instructions. I think you should have an actual plan right before you start making adjustments because one thing I've noticed is, and maybe why I'm just leaving mine alone until I have that plan complete, is because I don't want people seeing me move around and jump and bounce. And it shows everything you do or don't do, I believe, when it comes to social media and your presence online, it sends a message. And so I think it's become much more impactful than it's ever been in my lifetime for sure. And as far as running it on autopilot, the pace at which things move today, you kind of need an element of autopilot. You don't necessarily have a day or 3 or 4 or 5 days sometimes for people to respond with a contract. It's the next day type of thing, multiple offers type of thing. You know, you have a lot of variables that are changing and constantly moving around. So I think having things on autopilot to make adjustments easy is simple. And for you to put them on autopilot, it goes back to what I'm always saying, man. Have a plan and stick to your plan. So those are my thoughts on these topics this morning, Joe.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I think people don't realize, people are watching what you're doing, and they're going to go out of their way to do negative things to you. It's just a natural hater environment, and I think putting your business on autopilot so you could take a step back and look at everything and make sure everything is running correctly. Like if you have a nice Facebook business page, your profile is nice and clean, very consistent. LinkedIn, X, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Google Business Profile. There's so many opportunities to kind of bring it together and create a steering wheel to kind of put your foot on the gas slightly and direct it in the right way. I mean, if your social media is all over the place, it's like having a car stepping on the grass but not having a steering wheel. I mean, that's what scares me a little bit of what's going on, what I'm seeing here on in social media venues. People don't think about the big picture, long term. It's the consistency, it's the continuity of who you are to run your business correctly. Spend money wisely. Maybe hire a business or personal coach or a social media coach. That's where you spend your money. Spend your money on a social media coach to automate who you are and what your why is. That should be cost effective. It shouldn't be expensive. Set up a nice website to lead everybody back and forth to who you are, whether it's on your Instagram, on your threads, or your X, or your Facebook, or your LinkedIn. Have a good Google business profile, right? Make it solid. Google is the 800-pound gorilla, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Be consistent in what you're doing. Autopilot is easy once you have everything in front of you. The opportunity to be a really true, consistent real estate professional is being present, being available, being in communication. It frustrates the living daylights out of me when I am trying to find somebody's contact information and I can't find it anywhere. When somebody said they cannot find my contact number, I feel that they're like either blind or delusional because my phone number is everywhere. I have no reason to hide my contact number. I have no reason not to have a personal website to let you know who I am, what I do, and my why. I was very aggressive in making sure Yordell had it set up correctly and putting everything in motion to connect and complement our podcast website. And we just didn't jump at it. We did a lot of review, a lot of discussions, multiple discussions. I mean, even with photography, hire somebody for your photography. I spent $300 on 5 professional pictures, and yes, it is not Photoshop. That is how good looking I am. I am a good looking guy with those pictures. Thank God. I'm only kidding, guys. But again, what I'm saying, I spent $300 on great pictures, and I'd spend it again. And I'm constantly also, like my wife as well. She is a entrepreneur, and I'm always pushing her to do certain things so I can help her with her business because it does complement her wellness. Complements what I do in business. Who the hell wouldn't want to get a chair massage, right? So I'm always kind of nudging her to, let's co-promote. It's something a little off sheet with what I typically do, but I'm providing a softer approach of who I am. So complementing your team as well is extremely important, and more than ever, you need to identify who you are and who your strongest team members are, and help them build their business out as well. If you could make an introduction or a follow up just to see how they're doing, a check in, that's really important in this market today. Just a email, hey, checking in, how's everything going? What is wrong with that? It's just a check in, or a text, hey, how's everything going? Everything going all right? So not just liking things on Facebook means you're checking in. You need to check in with people that are going to help you build your business together. You need to retain maybe a personal coach, maybe a social media coach or strategist. Understand and audit yourself, and who you are online is everything to automate everything afterwards. Everything is easy if you know where you can be found. Some final thoughts from Amy, and then we'll go to Linda, and then we'll go to Justin.
Good, great discussion today. I think if you're gonna, we've kind of talked a lot about automating things. But one thing I also wanted to say is sometimes when we take a step back at all the processes and all the things that we're doing, we probably should look if before we automate anything, is if it does it really need to be done. So can we delete certain things that we shouldn't be doing in our day-to-day business? And then if those things we can, or we can find another way to do them that's more effective, I think that's always good. And then automate everything you can automate. And then please, 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 just to Joe's point, Your social media profile is your business card. You wouldn't go to a conference with a business card that had the wrong information on it. So don't do that to everybody else who's looking you up, because they all do. They all check you out on your social media pages. So make sure that all that's up to date. So that's my happy nickel, and it's been a great conversation this morning.
Thank you, Amy. Linda, your final thoughts to running your real estate business on autopilot.
Yes, Joseph. Great topic. Wonderful tips from you and Amy. And my last words of advice: be sure to automate your payments. Make it easy for tenants to do business with you. So not only automate all your expenses, automate your income and make it easy for your tenants to pay rent every month. But also, as I mentioned, be sure to double check everything to make sure that the payments are going through as they should be, to make sure that the amounts are correct. As I mentioned before, I made a huge mistake. I thought that one of my payments was being automatically taken from my account. 3 months into it, I didn't check. I had the repo man at my door taking my car away because I did not check those automatic payments. So please double check your work so you never have a surprise like I had, because it was terrible, and I had to deal with a lot of stuff after. So that's my advice: double check everything, make it easy for people to do business with you, and make it easy to do business by automating your payments. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Justin, your final thoughts to running your real estate business on autopilot.
Yep. Final thoughts this morning. I think it's, Linda just brought up a good point. Even though it's on autopilot, you want to be watchful of it. But I think it's the way to go these days, and you might be falling behind if you're not doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. I want to thank our sponsors, as always: Perkatech with Yardell Perkins, Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, Lendmark Capital, your nationwide asset-based lender, and MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit referral program. Some thoughts here: recognize the areas you can improve in, accept constructive criticism, be open to learning new things, own your mistakes, seek advice from more experienced coworkers, be confident, listen before you speak, acknowledge those who help you. My quote this morning: one move at a time, we define who we become. I'm having a special room tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on debt service coverage ratio for real estate professionals. Please join me if you can. Happy Memorial Day otherwise, and have a great time with family and friends. And I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds. And thank you this morning.